take any of the great coaches in college football, you know, Dabo's a bit different. Obviously, he was not a great coach or not considered to be a great coach. Nobody knew who he was when he took over wide receivers coach and straight to Clemson. But the Urban Meyers, Nick Sabans of the world, where they walk on campus and suddenly the team's just better. But with Mario Cristobal, and I'll say the same thing about Brent Venables at Oklahoma this past year. The guy's a defensive guru. He's arguably the best in the business. Takes over a defense, you would expect at least the defense to be better, even if he doesn't have his guys, that he's just going to scheme them better, and they were worse. And the same could be said in a sense of Mario Cristobal. He takes over a roster that's roughly a top 15 to 20 roster in college football. And shoot, the team went 5-7, but it was even, I don't know if you agree with me, worse than 5-7. Like if you
4-8.
I'm sorry, what's that?
They were a very odd Virginia game away from 4-8, right?
Yeah. If you compare, let's say, Texas A&M's 5-7, they beat LSU. They were playing within one score of Alabama. They're throwing the ball in the end zone to win. They were really good 5-7, if there's such a thing. Where Miami, oh my word, Middle Tennessee. What's the best game they played? Georgia Tech probably was the best game they played. Like, does it strike you as funny that a coach, even though he's still, as Cam would tell us, tearing the whole foundation down to the bare bones and then building back up, that you would think that there would be, they came off a pretty decent year the year before, that they would be better that first year, that he wouldn't have to just completely annihilate it before he built it back up.
And annihilate it again as far as his staff went. They brought a lot of new players in and sent a lot out. I don't know. I think some of that is in, he felt, it seemed like he felt a very big desire to create an all-star staff on the first go, as opposed to maybe finding, maybe to justify the money. I don't know. I don't want to, pretend to be his, person getting in his mind, but why else would you do it? Is it to justify the money? Trying to win right away, the rebuild talk didn't happen until they started losing some games, right? Like, nobody mentioned a rebuild until Middle Tennessee beat them, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're rebuilding. Like, that was kind of a later revelation. This whole rebuild. I think if you look at the blue chip ratio, they've got plenty of talent. Whether you think it's being used right or it's it's overhyped or whatever, I mean, but it is what it is, right? Like, there are that many 4- and 5-star players on the roster. Why are they being missed on? Why weren't guys tackling? Because it's not like guys just did, and Venables ran into this too. It's not like guys weren't just tackling for Manny Diaz. They also weren't tackling for Kevin Steele and Charlie Strong. I watched, as much as you can piece together of this crappy spring and stuff and all this, shooting only feet or, the random fan, that gets some accesses, media and films some drills from far away and stuff. It's hard to, you were looking at some tackling drills, like how to teach tackling. It's not how I, have seen it done by rugby coaches, which is where the elite tackling exists, right? It's not always done the same way. So the bad tackling persisted and carried on from there. Some of that could be the players. Some of that is on how you teach them and what are you doing in the offseason to prepare them to make contact, which is a huge part of what's going on now in strength and conditioning conversation, which obviously my career has taken a push from football to strength and conditioning full-time, is contact preparation and this preparing people for this contact that's happening, especially O-line, D-line. So I don't know if it's always being taught properly and modernized. And that is an issue when you bring in some older coaches. They got away, man. And they're going to do it the way that they've always done it. And I've been at this level for blah, blah, blah years. And this is how we do it. Yeah, well, and sometimes stuff doesn't work in year one that it might work in year 4. Like you might have to readjust and really go back to square one, bare bones, and then start really rethinking how you teach when players are not as prepared for you as they were, right? I mean, at Oregon, he was already there, not a long time, but he was already there. And we can't act like Helfrich didn't get him into, some pretty big games. He just sort of tanked it at the end. And then Willie came in and did what Willie does, go 7 and whatever, 7-win Willie. And then Cristobal came in and picked it up a little bit before it sort of evened back out because of a quarterback, really, his issue with finding a quarterback. But I just thought the way some of the things were done clearly wasn't working for what they had. If you looked at the guy's face, Mario Cristobal's face over, during the games, even before games started, it just looked like, God, I'm tired of dealing with some of these guys that are here. And that could have been coaches too, from what the rumors that you hear, right? It just not, he tried to hit the home run on the staff, the grand slam almost. And it just, sometimes it's the fit, man. And if you're going to have a talent pool there that is underdeveloped because it's in a place that pays coaching stipends at $1,200, a season, and then you go to Georgia and these guys are making $100,000 just to be the coach and not teach a class, and the guys down in South Florida are also the security guard while they're laying down pavers and painting and doing, because they don't pay enough. And trust me, I was a Florida teacher for a dozen years. And a Florida coach. I think as a head coach, the most I ever made was $3,400 for the whole season, right? As a coaching stipend. I mean, it's nothing. And so if you're underdeveloped because of that, what else is having to be done? You might have to get more teachers, right? Some guys like Mirabal that are like on the ground floor, used to be literally a history teachers, and not guys that are used to just going, hey, Auburn guy that was, number 3 in the country. Go ahead and go run out there and make that tackle. And you find out that he played at Hoover or he played at, other big time programs where they teach it properly, right? And their strength and conditioning is up to par. Somebody was telling me the other day, sure, a Georgia player, high school player, prep player is going to be better prepared for day one, but their ceiling is already met. But damn, I'd rather have a guy who can walk in and play because I know that if I don't win in 3 years, I'm fired. That's also some food for thought there, I guess, on the situation that goes on with fitting all that in.